Chiefs Kingdom, who out there is lost in the Ross? The Justyn Ross. I know I am. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. Harrison Graham with you. Justyn Ross is healthy and is having a great training camp so far. And look, he's starting to rise up, folks. He's getting reps with the ones with Patrick Mahomes. We'll get to Mahomes in a minute, who's been speaking highly of him. And I got to be honest, I think there's a very good chance that the 2022 undrafted free agent makes this 53-man roster. Here's QB1 talking about Justyn Ross. He says he's learning the offense fast. He's obviously making big plays, and he's getting more and more involved in those first-team reps. He's a guy that I hope can be a really good player in this offense. Andy Reid also chimed in saying he's done a nice job. He had a good offseason, and he's worked his tail off here. He just needs to keep doing that. It's about how you answer the bell every day and push through that. And look, the second half of that quote kind of nails it, right? It's been a very, very long journey for Justyn Ross, dating back to his college career at Clemson with the injuries. Let's just kind of run through the timeline here of what this guy has been through. In 2018, he kind of is on top of the college football world and making one-handed catches in the national championship game as a freshman, carries that into a good sophomore season. So between those 2 years, at just under 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns, we all think we're watching the next great first-round wide receiver. Well, heading into his junior year in 2020, spinal fusion surgery. He had some fusion issue with his lower neck, upper spine area. I mean, we thought his career was over. Came back in 21, played okay, but was definitely not the player he was prior to the injury. Opted to go to the NFL draft. Well, he did not get drafted. In fact, reports came out that only 4 NFL teams cleared him medically with that back neck issue. The Chiefs were one of those 4. They signed him, gave him a little bit of a signing bonus as a UDFA. He was placed on IR right after getting signed because he had to have a foot surgery, so another injury. But now he's back, had a pretty good offseason, and he's healthy at Chiefs training camp and making plays day in and day out. I can't hop on my Twitter feed, at HGramNFL, shameless plug, if without seeing a Justyn Ross clip, making plays, back shoulders. There's a play the other day where he's doing kind of a deep comeback route where he digs his feet in the ground, shifts the hip quickly, and leaves the corner in the dust for about a 20-yard comeback on the left sideline. I mean, the movement is there. The agility is there. He can go up and get it. I'm excited, and the Chiefs are utilizing him on special teams in practice. If he shows value there, I don't see how you leave this guy off the roster because he's just got a high enough ceiling on offense where if he can also give you some snaps on special teams, like to me, that's a guy you keep around, and you're risking him signing with another team if you do cut him. Chiefs Kingdom, who is rooting for Justyn Ross? How can you not? I mean, it's a story of perseverance, right? Type me in the comments down below if you're rooting for the former undrafted free agent. I know I am. Hopefully you guys are as well. My take is if it comes down to Justyn Ross or Justin Watson, Justyn's, just spell it different. Give me Ross. You don't need both Richie James and Justyn Watson, and I think Richie James is going to make this team. He's made more plays than Watson in camp. Now, we'll see about the preseason games. We know the Chiefs like Justyn Watson. It would be a lot for him to not make this team. I do think there's something to that, but give me the guy with the higher ceiling. Justyn Ross is someone who maybe with this wide receiver group that's deep but doesn't have like clear-cut starters, maybe he gets in there and plays a decent amount on offense. He's certainly got more of an upside than a guy like Justyn Watson, who is reliable. Mahomes likes him, but man, if Ross keeps making plays and has a strong preseason and remainder of camp, that's going to be a guy that's tough to let go of. Come on, do you think Justyn Ross makes the 53-man roster for Kansas City? If so, hit that like button, like this video right now, because I certainly think that he's got a very, very good chance. I'm going to give it 75%. I'm pretty confident he's trending in that direction. Did Patrick Mahomes call out Brett Veach, the Chiefs general manager? Well, Mahomes did a sit-down interview with Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, the Monday morning quarterback column that he does, and was obviously asked about him not making top QB market value money anymore, as several quarterbacks have surpassed him. And here's what he had to say. He said, "I've looked at Tom Brady's model and how he did it. That's it. You want to make money for yourself and for your family. You want to keep pushing the market forward for other quarterbacks. You don't want to be somebody that they use against other players. But at the same time, I want these other guys to get paid. I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. He's not. I want Travis Kelce to always be making money. He's kind of taking less too, if we're being honest. I want everybody on the team here. To me, that mention of Chris Jones wanting him to be in training camp, that's not a coincidence. Like, that's calculated, right? Like, if he could have said, I want Chris Jones to get paid, that would also have been a message. But Chris Jones isn't in training camp. Like, to me, that's calculated by Mahomes. Now, I'm not saying there's friction brewing between the quarterback and the general manager, but I think it's just a little nudge like, hey, man, like, I could be bitching to you guys and have my contract redone and make more money because you don't have a choice. I don't want to do that necessarily, but I want my boy Chris Jones here to rush the quarterback. That's not happening. The Jones holdout is ongoing because he wants a new deal at this point in time, and he remains away from training camp. And, you know, it's a tricky thing on both sides because Mahomes, I think part of him is like, I'm never going to have to worry about money again, but he knows he could make a lot more. If he wanted $60 million per year, he could get it. Like, he could get it. There's no doubt about it. There's about 28 other teams that would do it. Maybe a couple wouldn't go 60 because they like the quarterbacks they have, but I think a lot of them would, if we're being honest. And he's saying, hey, man, let's get Chris Jones in here. So more on this to come, more on the interview that Mahomes did with Albert Breer. But are you a real one? Mahomes is a real one for taking that 10-year contract. That makes you a real one if you're a fan of Patrick Mahomes. Get a Real One Chiefs Kingdom t-shirt today at chatsports.com/realkc. That link is in the comments and in the description. Pick one up right now. That way you can represent the Chiefs report. Reasons to extend Chris Jones, which we've talked about a lot. For one, it lowers his cap hit this year, and it gives you some financial flexibility for 2023. It frees up money to sign others if you need to do that, or if you need to have some flexibility during the season when injuries pop up. And most importantly, it keeps an elite player around. Chris Jones wants to be here. He wants to be a Chief for life. He has said as much, but he deserves a new deal, as several other defensive tackles who aren't as good as him have gotten paid and now make more than him, and Jones is a free agent after this year. So those are reasons to extend him. And another reason is Patrick Mahomes has taken a little bit less, so you can keep guys like this. Here's more from Mahomes in this interview with Albert Breer. I have a great offensive line. It's everything around me. It's all about having open conversation with Brett Veach, Coach Reid, Clark Hunt, and just knowing where that happy medium is. That will be out there throughout my entire career. To me, it's not about always being the highest paid. It's about making enough money for me and my family and keep moving the game forward for everybody. So he's sitting there saying, like, hey, like, I'm not pissed at Brett Veach or anything, but I want to win Super Bowls, and I know I have to have elite teammates to do that. Chris Jones is probably the second best pure overall player on this team. Maybe it's Travis Kelce. It's very close, though. It's between those two. There's no doubt about it. And look, I think it is something to consider. If the Chiefs don't take care of Chris Jones, Mahomes, whether he would or not, would certainly have reason to have less incentive to leave money on the table. Like next offseason, he might say, you didn't take care of my boy Chris Jones, so I want $10 more million. And what are the Chiefs going to do? Say no? No, they have to keep Patrick Mahomes. They don't have a choice. So not saying that would happen, but something he could do. He certainly could go that route. So get Chris Jones done. He's a guy who wants to be here. He's 29. It's not like he's 33. 3-4 year extension. Let's go to work and get him into training camp and get him ready for the upcoming season. What's your concern level with the Chris Jones situation? Scale of 1 to 10. 7? I mean, it's creeping a little higher. I mean, we haven't seen him in a little while now. Haven't heard much. He's been putting out a couple of subliminal messages on social media. So hopefully it gets resolved soon. But yeah, it's creeping up. I'm at a 7 out of 10. Injury news from training camp today. Charles Omenihu did not practice, and we found out afterwards that he is dealing with a calf injury. Pete Sweeney with the full injury report today. Michael Dana still having that calf issue. Jody Fortson with the shoulder. Of course, Chris Jones is holding out. Omenihu, we found out later, calf injury. L'Jarius Sneed dealing with the knee issue. Reese Taylor didn't practice. Kadarius Toney recovering from the knee. Drew Tranquil out. So a couple of notable guys there. And with Omenihu going down, with Chris Jones holding out, and obviously Michael Dana banged up, D-line's a little thin, man. I mean, if you had to play a game today, your starting defensive line, assuming Chris Jones wouldn't show up to the game, would be probably Tershawn Wharton, who did just come back from injury, Derek Nottie, George Karlaftis, and Felix Anadikia-Uzoma. A lot of youth, man. A lot of unproven guys. That D-line is thin right now. So we'll see what happens. I think you need to potentially go sign someone. Calf injuries can be tricky. It's something you can't rush back because you can easily retweak it, and you always have that Achilles fear as well. So plenty of time till the regular season, but I think certainly a position potentially of need, even if those guys come back. I think you could use some more depth. What do you guys think? Should the Chiefs sign a defensive lineman? Type Y for yes or in for no. I think the answer is yes. Whether or not they do it, that remains to be seen. All right, guys, appreciate you for tuning in to the Chiefs Report. For more videos, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.